Da 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 da. What's my good chair? Welcome, everybody. Let's give YouTube a couple of minutes to get those notifications out. In the meantime, if you've never popped into one of my lives before, hi, I'm Cindy. I explore the inside and the outside, and I tell you, sometimes it's just not giving up that things get done. Right? That was a little bit of a sweat on just there trying to go live today. But sometimes that's the way it is. And we have to ride those waves, right? And just be proud of that effort that at least we tried. Lots of times we beat ourselves up or we flubber over ourselves. We get a little bit of embarrassment. Oh my goodness, right? What are people going to say? It doesn't really matter in the end because anybody, right, making movement forward, we understand that it is a struggle. We start off beginners, right? We start off beginners. You don't get that gold medal at the Olympics, right? Just by saying, I want that gold medal at the Olympics, right? You don't get to be the very, very best basketball player in the whole world without putting in those reps, making those mistakes, failing yourself, getting frustrated, right? Hopefully, not giving up. I am grateful that in this, I don't know what I'm playing out here, but this life that I'm creating for myself, when I first woke up to some of these ideas, you know, I didn't realize that I had gotten myself in such a big doo doo that I was becoming and had become my own worst enemy. And, I look at myself and I look at my choices, my choice of the people that were in my life, some of those decisions I made and some of those jobs that I chose to take on. And a lot of those jobs, I would have to say, most of those jobs that I took on were out of necessity. But in getting those jobs, you have that choice, right? To make friends with the coworker, to impress the boss, to multitask, learn different parts of that job, make yourself indispensable. And we all get to make those choices. You can go into work and just say, oh, right, it's the job that puts the roof over our head. Or you can go to work and sus- not suspect, that's not the word, expect, that's the word I'm looking for. Expect that you can whistle while you work, right? That you can make an amazing day out of a day that you don't expect to go very well, right? A job is just that. It's work, right? It's effort. And whether that's mental work, whether that's emotional work, whether you're actually in the mix of it, right? And it's true too. Some of the hardest workers I have ever met. Uh, a prime example is, when I go for my walks, evening walks and stuff, I like to go down the back lanes and stuff. I like to look at people's gardens and patio sets. It's a little bit more personal in the backyard because that's your retreat, right? So I like to look at the lanterns and the gardens and the little projects going on. And I bump into the canners, and the canners are the people who jump into the bins and they scrounge around. And right, I've done that myself, not as a scrounger, but walk down the back lane and you see an amazing chair or a beautiful carpet, right? You're not going to say no, especially, right? What's trash to one person is treasure to another, right? Today we're picking our next word that we're supposed to be talking about all this week, you guys. And we should get right into it. I'm pretty excited. Today I spent the day with one of my sisters. We did a little bit of thrifting. We like to go to the thrift stores and stuff, look for scores, and it's a lot of fun. And I will be filming some of those those adventures I do with my sister Alice. You'll absolutely love Alice. She is a character and she's a very, very smart lady. And she has supported her family for over 20 years by being a reseller. And a reseller is somebody who goes into thrift stores or does garage sales or goes to auctions, right? Estate sales. And they buy things inexpensively and they sell them. And whether that's on Marketplace or eBay, right? Etsy. No, Etsy is arts and crafts, isn't it? But she has done a really wonderful job at putting a roof over her family's head and now looking towards retirement. And the fact is, and she realizes it, that this is her dream job, being a reseller. She loves it more than anything. She loves the research on the item. She likes the thrill of finding a score. She loves antiques and glass and pottery and art. And she's become a bit of an expert in that. And I'm trying to convince her to kind of roll with me a little bit, that maybe we can, attach her eBay store to this channel, and we can do some of that filming of those thrift stores that we're moving towards entrepreneurship, right? We're moving towards that. And you have to start, like I've have ideas of the yin yang, but everybody has ideas out the yin yang, and it's the action that you put towards the idea. Today we actually talked about it. She's a little bit concerned about the YouTube part of it. And I said, I'll take care of that. That part's my forte. That's where I'm the expert, right? She's the expert entrepreneur. She knows the business of it, right? And I'm a good partner for her because I've become a bit of an expert in this business myself, working in a thrift store and working with all the donations and stuff. So, but it would be a conflict of interest being in the store that I'm in now. So it would mean moving into entrepreneurship, and that is that dangling without that stability under my feet. And if you've been hanging out with me for any length of time, dangling heights is very, very scary for me. I don't say I don't do it. It's just very, very scary for me. So if I can avoid those scary heights, right? But change doesn't happen without the scary, right? Because the scary is the unknown, and it's only unknown until we know it. Okay, you guys, enough of that. Let's pick the word that we're going to talk about all week. I don't know. We had respect and honor, and I truly thought we would only have maybe 2 days worth of content to talk about it. We managed to yap about respect and honor all week. So 3 words. We've got change, choices, and respect. And if you haven't seen those podcasts, they're set as podcasts. You can go into my main channel and you can find them, and you can start with this, because I suspect that this is going to help us out lots, right? What this is talking about moving forward. This is about creating the best human being we possibly can. And in saying that, creating the best human being, that doesn't mean to mold and make that human being suffer into becoming perfect, because we do know there's lots of struggle, there's lots of suffering. Again, you don't get that gold medal on the podium without that struggle, without that effort. And everybody wants the comfy. Everybody wants the couch and the remote control, right? And sometimes along the line, and especially in this digital age, I understand it's not difficult to make the money, right? And there's a reason I'm sitting in the place that I'm sitting, and it's because it's just not the time yet, right? Right? I ride those waves. I stay present in the moment. I understand that things will come to me. I will attract the things that I want, right? Right? I will even attract the things that I don't know I want. And I'll attract the things that I don't want. Which one are you, Melvin? Isn't it nice that this sweet lady is on my computer at this time of the day? Aw, Melvin. Oh, aren't you a schmooer? Aren't you a schmooer? So we were just about, Melvin, to pick our word to yap about this week. I have a whole page of words, and these words are going to be on my own set of cards that I'm doing up, right? I'm not a tarot reader or anything like that, but I do believe that I am guided, and I do the angel card. Oh, aren't you sweet, Melvin? Right? And you got me distracted from the topic, which is the word of the week. We've had some pretty good words so far, right? I only got to pick respect and honor. I didn't know how I was going to manage it. I think it was okay. But today we're going to pick the next word. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to do a first impression. The first thing that came to my mind, right? Maybe it's a story. Maybe it's an experience. Maybe it's a lesson from somebody else, because I think I hang with some smarty pants. That's for sure. That's for sure. But hung out with my sister today. We had a grand time, and we tried to get one of those surprises for my camping trip coming up, or my road trip coming up in 3 weeks. Didn't quite work out today, but we're going to give it another shot on Monday. And so I'm perfectly 100% good with that. We are working at my dream vehicle, and I do believe Melvin knows what that dream vehicle is, and that's what I'm trying to get for my trip, Melvin. Don't tell anybody. I haven't said anything on my Chatters Live on Sunday nights because I want it to be a surprise if I can manage to get it. But at the same time, I don't feel bad mentioning it here too, because it's for you to kind of cheer me on if you want to, and for me to cheer myself on to oh to be the evidence that in my goal setting, that if I really want something, if I'm willing to put in the work, right? If I'm not willing to quit, if I'm willing to adapt and conquer and find another way, that I can accomplish anything. Today was day one in working, and a little failure. I don't consider it a failure, right? We're just beginning, right? We're just beginning. There's not many of these vehicles for rent in this city, but we're going to get one. I'm going to try. I'm going to try because I think it would be pretty thrilling. And I think also at the same time, it would be encouraging for a lot of people who hang out with me and my content, because they struggle in their own lives. Every time they move towards something for themselves, they feel that pushback. And you know how it is when you get that. Oh, we haven't gotten to the word yet. I wanted to chit chat today. It's going to take a little bit. I could see that because last night on my YouTube channel, I did the same thing. On my Chatters Live, I went straight into flow. Soon as I came in, because those other parts of me were excited. They didn't do a live show during the day, and they're used to, right, having that platform on Instagram on Sunday mornings, and I didn't give it to them, so they they took over the Chatters Live, and I gave it part of them. I have an hour and a half I do on Sunday nights on my Chatters Live, so it was all good. But again, it's in that partnership and in that silliness in how I think and how I feel about things, and how things work out, and how I come up with some of the reasoning that I do. Okay, you guys, let's get into this word right now, because we need to draw it back in. I don't think we've even drawn it in at all at this point, but we're going to have fun with it. We're going to have fun. So you know what vehicle I'm going for, right, Melvin? I'm working hard. I thought I had it today. Right? We were going in to book it. We had the money to pay for it. I was going to pay for it. And that way it was solid. I had something solid to know that this is a for sure thing, because this is the one. This is the one goal that I strive and so look forward to I'm just having a silly moment that I so look forward to every single every single year, right? And I like to reverse engineer this holiday, right? I like to set that goal and then work backwards and get things accomplished so that by the time I leave, it's all set, right? Not everything, because there are lots of things in our lives that should be there just to surprise and dazzle and amaze us. And that is, right, quite often that grace, we call them miracles. I've had beautiful little miracles myself, and you might not even think that, there, you think of miracles and you think, oh, somebody came back from dying, or somebody who is blind can see again. No, mine was, right, not that spectacular, but in a way just as spectacular, because every life matters, whether that's a human life or a plant life or an animal life, right? That it all matters. And it's a it was a true wake up call to me that everything matters, that everything wants to survive and thrive. Truly they do, and it's just the struggle sometimes, right? And I am grateful for these platforms that make it so that I can stay accountable to myself, right? Because, well, I have people like Melvin now who like to hang out with me, right? Okay, you guys, let's just pick this word already. La da 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 da. Here we go. Ooh, vision, you guys. We got vision. Isn't that a great word to come after respect and honor and choices and change? Because it starts with a vision. 100%. When I was just talking there about reverse engineering my dream vacation, this stick with the bag at the end of it, it's my prize. It's kind of my, it's not my, prize, reward, more like a reward for the effort, right? We can't always be perfect. Again, we're going for the gold medal at the Olympics. That's a long process. Sometimes you have to start as babies in order to get to that standard of capability in order to compete even in the Olympics. And that's the thing, right? That in that vision for ourselves, we can see where we're not at. We know where we want to be because we have that vision. We've created it in our minds, what we want, what we dream for us. Even if it's just a bucket lister, right? You gotta have something to look forward to. And if it's not even to look forward to, then you have to at least have something that can keep you moving, right? Do you know what I mean? Because lots of people, they suffer from anxiety and they suffer from that depression. They suffer from that feeling of wanting the couch and the remote control, right? And when I say that part, that wanting the couch and remote control, simultaneously wanting those dreams, those goals, those ambitions, those visions that they have to be manifested and realized, right? So it starts with a vision. And if you can say it starts with a vision, it starts also, right? The thought. It starts with the thought, and the thought triggers the vision, right? Because you say, oh, I want to own that gas station. But it simultaneously it's saying, I want to own a gas station. You can say, oh, but I want to be my own businessman. I want to work for myself. I want to put all those skills that I learned from my father in the garage to good use, right? It's something I love, right? And then you think about this, and then at the same time, everything is at the same time. This is what I one of the very first things I realized. This was one of the very first things I experienced, and that has to be the truth. When I woke up to some of these ideas, that I woke up instantly. right? To a lot of ideas instantly. And when I said as knowings, like these were truths for me. So as I move in this life and I take in my lessons and I have those conversations and I go to those workshops, or right, I do that road tripping, right? I do these words, right? When I delve into the topics, it's all in my choices. And I have to realize that I'm absorbing things, and I have to be present when I'm absorbing those things, because if I'm not, I'm going to absorb some things that, because there's so much out there, right? Right? If you're going to be the gold medalist in the no, that wouldn't be a good example because there's lots of things that you do in a triathlon. I'm going to be the gold medalist in bobsledding, right? You're not going to train in figure skating, right? You're not going to train in swimming, right? It is sports and we all start somewhere. So if you're doing this in baby steps, just introducing yourself into sports just to feel out what is it in that sport that you want to be magnificent at, that you love, right? Because maybe you do want to be that gold medalist bobsledder, right? And you get into sports and all of a sudden find you have a knack for swimming, right? I was swimming and I was diving off high boards by the time I was 3 years old, unattended. I just take the key to the swimming pool building and I would just go by myself, right? Like I think my parents knew where I was. I don't know, but I did it all the time. And I remember being hauled back to my mom, my mom and dad, by the caretaker holding the keys. What is she doing? She's only 3 years old. Why has she got the keys? Why is she in the swimming pool area all by herself? But I did find that I had a real aptitude for swimming, and there were a few things that I thought I had an aptitude for, but they were never. What do you do when you hover over something and you take care, nurtured? It was never nurtured in me, right? And because I was coming into my teenage years, we're going through that adolescence. Well, because if you don't know, if you haven't hang out with me for any while, I have been a very obese person for the most part of my life. I was 311 pounds. By the time I was, say, 25 years old, I was over 300 pounds. Um, I was an obese child, and in the 60s and 70s, that wasn't very common. I was probably one or two out of any school that I ever went to. Um, Nowadays, it's very, very common, and I can relate to how the kids, overweight kids, feel in school. But at the same time, they have a little camaraderie, and I didn't have that. I didn't have anybody that I could hang out with that was overweight that would understand my problems or anything. But this day and age, because it's such a commonality, being obese, and being overweight, that we find comfort in each other's company. So maybe I was right. I came forward in that, but also at the same time, in seeing that struggle, I can see the future, right? And that's part of the vision, right? I see the future of these kids who are struggling right now with one parent households. So hard, right? The kids, boys and girls, do need both parents. And as much as I did not rub shoulders well with my mother, I needed her, right? She was my guardian. What lessons would I have missed without her in my life? And as much as some of those lessons were very difficult, right? And even though that relationship was very difficult, a lot of those lessons that I got were very, very much needed. And we have to remember that, right, there are lots of people out there that we don't appreciate, but we can always find something good in them. We can always find something. And this was a lesson that I learned from Evan Carmichael, right? That we can always find something. And you'll find these people, on his channel too. And this is one of the greatest things for me to understand, that this is so true, because we're looking out at the world these days and we're seeing these kings and queens and gods out there, right, falling off their thrones, right, they're falling hard. And yet and yet um they had visions. They had visions for themselves, they had visions for the world. But we all have that choice, right? In our actions of how we want to live and what we want to bring to the world. And the thing is, we can learn off of people that we don't always appreciate, because they got where they got for a reason, right? They were graced, right, with the gifts that they had for a reason, and they should be appreciated for those reasons. We all make mistakes, we all fail, and some of our greatest leaders, right, had faults, right? JFK and Marilyn Monroe. Right? Like there's so many of them, and I don't mean to use him as an example, but that was the first thing that came to my mind. And we have these expectations that, that these people that we follow, they need to be perfect, right? They're the shining stars. They can't have blemishes. They can't have fault. They got to get along with this personality. But what about the other billions and billions of personalities, right? I'm not the only one that counts, right? I'm a true believer in majority rules, right? So I have a vision of it takes all kinds to make the world. And it starts with us. It starts by cleaning up our own house, our own castles, because that's what it is. And we want people to come in. Hi, Melvin. Hello, dear. Nice to see you in here. I'm using my Be Kind cup. I was trying to be kind to me all through today. I would just really like to have some solidity into my road trip, and I don't have any of that. Like nothing. Work is kind of going kind of unstable right now where it comes to being able to cover shifts. Right? There are problems with me finding that amazing vehicle that I truly, truly would love to test drive. And I would love to be that evidence. It's part of my vision, right? And if you've hung out with me for any length of time, you hear me say, I want that Jeep Rubicon 2021. And that's how long I've been asking for that vehicle, since 2021. And now it's 2023. And I'd like to manifest that vehicle for my trip. At the very least, I would like to test drive that. And I think my road trip would be a good time to do that testing. And not only that, because it's fall now, the price has gone down a little bit. So the amount of money that I had budgeted for my vehicle fits right in line. It fits right in line. So we're really going to try for it. I'll settle if I have to settle. But the idea is to never give up, because there's the vision and we're always working towards the vision, right? And we have to do those little baby steps sometimes, especially being highly sensitive, being empathic, right? We can stumble over ourselves. We can create a nice comfy couch and a remote control with a thought, and be perfectly content with that, and content with the idea that we're not hurting because we don't know what we're missing, right? And isn't that the truth? If you're sitting on the couch with the remote control, right? Well, all those miracles, all those dazzle and amaze that is being taken care of on the outside, none of that. Not even a speckle of chance is that going to come across your path because of where you're sitting in the moment. And sometimes, right, that's the thing. We just have to get up and start moving towards that. So I'm a big believer in the baby steps, right? You have that vision. That's a great word. I'm looking forward, right, of doing a little bit to see who's got to say this. I've got some idea, right? Think of some visionaries, right? I can think of a few. What about Elon Musk? Wasn't he a great visionary? Isn't he a great visionary? I love innovation because innovation is our evolution, right? It's how comfortable or how painful, how much of a struggle it's going to be moving forward, right? It's all dependent on the innovation, right? When they invented the airplane, you got to Hawaii, didn't you, when you wanted to go, right? You probably would have never had that opportunity to go lay on a beach and drink pina coladas because you would have to have driven all the way down, right? All the way down the coast and then hopped on a ferry and then gone over to the islands. And that would have been a very, very expensive trip. But then again, somebody might not have invented the car. And you would have never even, I'm Canadian, you would never even have made it into the States, right? It's through our choices and in this day and age, right? We have that opportunity because of the innovation to expand in the visions and actually give yourself permission because you have that information that you're allowed to give yourself permission to have a vision, right? And I have dreams, I have ambitions, I have, are they expectations? No, they're not because I know my choices are tied up in my expectations. And because I'm adapting and conquering and riding the waves and, right, trying to make things work, sometimes with missing lessons, sometimes not seeing them clearly, not seeing them at all. Or maybe sometimes, right? I got this. I know exactly who to give credit to this for. Or I know exactly how to do this. Or I remember this experience. And a lot of, these conversations that I have, it will be through my experiences because I want to just emphasize I have no degrees, you guys. I have no technical training. I have my experiences and I have the lessons that I pick up through what is suggested to me, right? By Google and YouTube and through the choices I make in some of those um, passions, because that's what they are. They're passions of mine, and I'm grateful that I got the lessons to learn that I should be working in my passion. So I have no problem because I'm going for that gold medal. I'm going for that gold medal, right? That's a lot of training, right? That's sometimes training you start with a baby. And I started when I was 57 years old. But I'm thinking in being my own partner, right? Being my own best friend, being my own cheerleader, being accountable to myself, whistling while I work, right? And showing up here every day and sharing my story that it might, right, be the evidence for myself, number one, because I come back into these lives each day, right? It's part of my vision, right? And even though my vision is not explained on a daily basis, I do believe that just like these words, how this word vision, because it should be one of the very first words, because it starts with a thought. It starts with an idea. It starts with that creativity or that idea that comes to your mind, and you have that picture and you go, "Ooh, I want that. Ooh, I can do that. Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, that's why maybe I should give it another shot. Maybe I should try again." And it's in that idea of never giving up, right? That when you got that answer, that you just get right back to it, right? Because it's just in our baby steps. And sometimes we take too much of a big bite out of a project. I guilty, right? I used to do a little bit of wedding promotions. I used to be a bit of a wedding planner. My ex-husband was in the military, and there were lots of quickie weddings before people would go on tours or out in the field and stuff. And usually they were so quick you didn't have time to plan anything, but you know, the women, they always want a little something to remember, or maybe there was a little bit of pressure from the parents, right? So I got into this thing of putting on little basement weddings or little backyard weddings, and I would get a little budget from the bride and groom, and I would do my very best to put on the prettiest wedding or their dream wedding, because I would ask questions to what was important and whether their wedding cake needed to look like a Stanley Cup. That was one. Or just in an idea of a dream that somebody had as a child of being Cinderella. Like, you give that to me and I have a $500 budget. Okay, we're going to do potluck, right? Everybody save your birthday decorations from all the parties and stuff you put together for the next year, and we'll use it, right? I'm going to make the bouquets. I'm going to make the flowers and the centerpieces, right? We're going to borrow what we can. And that's all adapt and conquer. And that's all biting off small pieces in order to accomplish something bigger, something grander, to create a memory, a good memory, right? This is somebody's wedding. Now, I don't know how I took that to that, but that's a vision, right? That somebody got when they were a little child. And something like that happened to me this week, and I'm trying to think what that was. That's something that I dreamed of. I've always dreamed of, and it manifested this week. Oh, it'll come to me if it's meant to come to me, because it is Vision Week, and maybe it will just come to my memory as because we're going to talk about this all week, right? Like we did with our last words, like maybe today, right? I would like you, and I know we're not supposed to serve ourselves, but the thing is, I'm a true believer that we're no good to anybody else unless we are taking care of ourselves, unless our own cups are full. We give away what's going over the lip of the cup, right? All that froth from the whatever's going over the cup, we give that away, right? But we can't let people stick straws in the bottom of our cups and suck out like a delicious milkshake every last drop. And so we have to take care of ourselves. So I think for the first thing, and it doesn't have to be big. You can make a small one. I know sometimes we like you feel like you're called to take have a big vision, then go for it, because um I had a big vision when I first started online. It was to be a YouTube superstar. I wanted to be an urban explorer. I wanted to explore abandoned farms and abandoned houses, going back to the Hudson Bay Company, going back to the Voyageurs, going back to the first settlers of Manitoba and the first settlers of Canada. Does that look like my brand right now, you guys? No, because those are the pivots, those are the change. You can go on to my brand, right? Because my passions are all mushed together, and that was a lesson that I was taught again, right? But I've got all my passions together. So my hopes is, right, the people who love my content, the people who love my outdoor explorers, the people who love my chitter chatter, my deep conversation, my funky ideas, Do you want me to do that one, Melvin? I could do that one this summer. It's not that far away. That would be a good explore if you enjoy that one, right? And having a better editing program and being a better filmer, better presenter, better talker, right? Maybe I could do a better job. Maybe they have new exhibits, Melvin. Good idea. We will go to the boat museum. We'll do that maybe in the next, well, it won't be before, well, I don't know, right? It's on the table now. And that's the thing, that's the vision, right? Melvin just gave me an idea. That's the thought. Now, with that thought, what is the first mode of action that I can do to manifest that thought, that adventure, right? Okay, well, let's make a date, right? And as soon as we get back, I'm on holidays, Melvin, right? We'll do our trip. I still have another week off when I get home, and I'll be editing video, and I will be, right? It's not my favorite thing to do, so I will be ready for a little bit of a road trip again that very same week while I'm editing video. So that's exactly what we'll do. Melvin was saying, and this is a suggested for my sister, because she says quite often when I do my live shows that I come in and I answer, right? There are questions and comments and stuff going on. But I answer, but I don't express what the question was or who said it. But Melvin was saying, when are we going back to the boat museum, Cindy? And that was an explore that I did. It was a Selkirk, and it was outdoor museum, and it was old tugboats and old work ships, right? Coast Guards. Yeah, they're old Canadian Coast Guard ship there. And I think there's a couple of lighthouses there too, a couple of fisheries, a couple of really neat fishing boats, plus an array of motors and propellers and weights, anchors. That's what they call them, anchors. Yes, we'll do that. So that's the vision. So that's what I would say to you guys, that maybe this week is seeing if we are talking about vision. It is in the idea, right, of change, choices, and respecting and honoring yourself. And sometimes, we go in and we take a big vision, and then right off the hop, we fall on our face, right? But we dishonor ourselves if we give up on that, right? Because we expect to fail. We're going for the gold medals, aren't we? So why don't we just take a smaller bite or have a smaller vision if you've never done vision work before? It's fun. I don't take advantage of it. But I have to test the waters. I'm looking for the evidence, right? And I do believe that this truly does work in goal setting. I'm pulling myself out of a real messy life of bad choices, and that's the truth. And I'm sitting in a much better situation than I was sitting in just a few years ago, right? But it's with the conversations, it's with the experiences, it's with that information that I've picked up along the line from people who have meant me well, from people who, right, we learn just as much, right, from the mistakes and from the failures as we do from the successes. So sometimes we do listen to some bad advice, right? Bad influence. And sometimes, and most of the time, it's not with intent, right? Ah, you can antenna. Sharon's here too. Hello, Sharon. Sharon, my friend from Oakland. Yeah. And one of the first friend that I made out of my followers who actually was able to come up here to Canada and visit me, right? Yeah. So I love Sharon, and these are people here that have been with me for years. So we're talking about vision, Sharon, this week. So on my lives on what's my good cheer. So every day, today was my first impression of this word vision. And the first thing that came to my mind is when I do my goal setting, right? My reverse engineering. And because I've got this vacation coming up, right? This road trip coming up in a few weeks. And I was saying that I need something solidified that this trip is happening, like tied in, a big money investment or something, so that I know that it's for sure. But nothing, there's absolutely nothing going on in this moment. And right. And in reverse engineering, it's in that action of getting things done. And so today, Sharon, me and my sister, we were out looking for my dream vehicle to use for my trip. And I think you do also know what that dream vehicle was. And the first dealership we went to didn't have it, so we're going to another one next week, and we're going to see if we can rent this dream vehicle so that I can test drive it, so that people who have been with me for years can see that, when I say that I'm going to do something, even though it doesn't look perfect because it's a rental, it's not truly mine, and I want my truck to be mine. But I've never driven a Jeep Rubicon before, right? I've never driven a Jeep Wrangler before, right? It's a pretty cool looking truck. But what if I get in the truck and the ceiling is touching my head, or the seat isn't far back, or right? And it doesn't have that perfect cup holder for me, doesn't have enough USB, right? I don't know until I try it out. So I'm reverse engineering, right? My dream car, and I'm test driving it. And that's the idea of what I was doing today, the vision. So this is really good for me to have this word this week, because this would be some evidence for you guys, because I work in a little thrift store, right? I live in low income housing, right? I'm online every day. I show up here fresh like a loaf of bread, right? But the struggle is real, right? This is my life. I'm making the best of it that I can. I'm whistling while I work. I'm enjoying what I'm doing. I'm taking in the lessons, and the lessons have proven themselves over and over again in its evidence that it works, right? But I have to be that evidence, right? I have to be that evidence for the people who come in here, right? And believe in me, right? Like Sharon believes in me, and William believes in me, and Melvin believes in me, right? Like, right? Thank you so much, guys, for popping into my live show. And this is a podcast. So as soon as my live is over, it's going to be in my podcast playlist. You can go to my channel, and I'm doing 54 words this year. I have a page here of over 60 words. And today I'm just going to highlight, oh, I already did, the word vision. And this is the word that we're working on this week. And you can look at the word vision, and you can look at it as your aspirations for your life. You can look at it as your dreams. You can look at it in a goal setting, which is what I do, right? I look at, because for the most part, I'm a very much live and let live, ride the waves, right? Adapt and conquer, right? I am a bit of those bumper cars, right? Going about my day, and what works out, works out. What doesn't work out, well, it might be a painful lesson so that I won't ever do it again, right? Or it might be an amazing lesson, even, that might give me great strides in what I want to accomplish, right? It's one of those graces, one of those serendipities, some of those little gifts that those little rewards that we give ourselves for just trying, right? You just don't get the prize when you accomplish, right? You get that gold medal, right? But what happens when you hit that gold medal? What are you going to look to aspire to, right? And this is another lesson that I learned, right? There's after one mountain, there's just going to be another mountain. And I'm going to pivot and I'm going to consistently change, right? I didn't know that I wanted a Jeep Rubicon for my trip, but wouldn't that be cool? Wouldn't my crew on Chatters Live be proud of me, right? That I was able to accomplish that. Won't I be proud of myself that I accomplished that, right? I made that effort. I put in that work. And even though that work might not be manifested in the outworld, it certainly is manifested in the in world. Okay, so vision. Just to tell you a few things in my vision for this year. You know, I got the cards going on. This is what we're doing for the next year is just gonna, right? Every week we're gonna pick a word and we're gonna hack away at that word. First time I pull up the word because I don't know what the word's going to be until I do one of these, right? It will be my first impression. It will be the lessons that I've learned along the line. It will be in my experience and in some of those storytellings, right, of my life or maybe somebody else's life, right? I have such amazing characters in my story, and I'm really looking forward to as we're coming into some of these words that they'll be attached to some of these beautiful, beautiful people that I have been privileged to know. And even if, right, they saw my light and but I didn't, right? That maybe they hung out for me for different reasons than I hung out for them. They still added to my life. And I hope, and I know that I added to theirs. And I hope that, in their journeys that, right, they'll take that experience and through their own choices, right, take it as part of themselves or make the choice not to. And that's the fantastic thing, right? Because there's many good things about Cindy that there is, right? There are some poopy traits too, right? And I wouldn't be sitting here, right, if I wasn't willing in expressing those lacks in myself. Because right now, right? That's the evidence. That's who I am. That's where I'm at. That doesn't mean that that's where I'm going to be at 6 months, 1 year, 10 years, or another lifetime from now. It's because I don't give up, right? My visions for this year. Well, we know we got the cards going on. We brought What's My Good Cheer over to YouTube. It's been a live show on my Instagram for years now, and some of the people here are some of my crew from Instagram, and I am grateful for that. Right? And that's the thing. Everybody is so eager to deny the human, right? To beat the human out of the system, to put the human in its place, not to allow it to be weak or insecure or fragile, right? Like, not everybody can be an alpha. Not everybody can be a leader. If everybody was a leader, well, there would be World War 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So many going on at the same time, right? Because we would all be butting heads. Uh, I don't think there's anybody in this world who could assume that they are perfect, right? There are people out there who think they are, right? But they only think they are. And we have to appreciate and have some compassion for that because they learned that from somewhere, right? And we all get that influence. And sometimes that influence is with some good heart, right? That people, they mean well. Oh, you can do it. You can do it, right? You can swim the English Channel, right? And you have right, and it's somebody because you're handicapped because you were born with the thalamide poisoning. Is that what you call it? No, you got no arms and you got no legs, and somebody's telling you you can swim, swim, swim. While with innovation, yes, those possibilities are out there. But if you really think that you're going to do the butterfly stroke and be able, right, maybe in the Paralympics, and that's the beautiful thing about the Paralympics is because it puts everybody on uh, a level playing field, right? But we have to accept our limitations. And those who can't accept their limitations, who do think they're perfect, well, they're missing out on lessons. And if they think they're perfect, they're not going to even be looking for the lessons. And the truth could beat them in the forehead and they wouldn't even recognize it in the moment either, would it? Okay, back to my visions for this year. It's not very much because I am still in the lessons. I still feel very very deep in it, very deep in it, but I'm working in it at the same time because I do recognize that people have to see me struggle in understanding this process, in beating down some of those limiting beliefs that I have, right? And in my vision, right, of being the greatest human being that I can possibly create, that I understand that my purpose comes from my pain. And my pain happened to be that gullible, right? Highly sensitive, empathic, silly girl that I was, who made bad choices just because she wanted to belong, just because she wanted to be seen, just because she wanted to be heard, right? So I have to recognize for the things that I want to achieve that I have to do it in baby steps, right? And I may not even make it into achieving what my true ambitions are, but I'm not missing out on lessons. I'm not coming to the table as just a part of the perfect. I'm not going for a bronze, a bronze medal or special mention, right? You want to play that game, right? This is the world that we live in. And this is healthy. This is healthy that we can actually, in good sportsmanship, be able to compete with each other. In good sportsmanship, go for those gold medals. And yes, I may end up with the bronze medal, but that will be perfectly fine because that's what my peers decided that I deserved, right? And that bronze medal might be for the lesson as a whole, but I might be still the very, very best at one aspect of that one thing that I was looking to achieve, that I had a vision, that I had a dream, right? That I'm going to go for it anyway. I'm going to go for it anyway because in my own beliefs that I know that if I don't succeed, I'll get another chance. And I'll get another chance until there's something or someone is just so sick of giving me chances that they'll just give me the crank in my life. And that's what I'm avoiding by taking the lessons, by doing the baby steps, by making the necessary change. And let's give some good cheer to the fire truck. I live behind a fire station right now, wishing that it's going to be a false alarm, right? I bet you they're wondering how come they get so many false alarm. They're the only station in the city that's getting false alarms, constant. It's because Cindy's sending them good cheer every once in a while. I don't catch them all, but I try and catch the ones that I can catch. You guys, Vision, thank you so much for coming into my live tonight, right? Um, those ideas of those visions for myself for this year. Obviously, we're going to root in this podcast, in this live show, What's My Good Cheer on YouTube, right? We're going to see what we can do with this, where we can come in together as a community and maybe work together in our own projects. We are those projects, right? Not in our own projects, but when I say in our projects, I mean working in ourselves. And our projects, our goals, our dreams, ambitions are attached to that, right? But nothing can be built on just a dream. And so we need to clear out some of that gook, and we have to, right, accumulate some of those tools on our tool belt in order to realize those visions that we have for ourselves. And again, just bite off a little bit. So today, right, think of a goal, think of an ambition, think of something that you would like to accomplish for yourself. Don't, not something so big that you know that you, right, in this moment, you're just starting out. We're doing baby steps, but pick something, right? Just like I did in this trip of wanting my Jeep Rubicon for my road trip. False alarm. You didn't need the second fire truck. You didn't need it because you're going to get there and you're both going to turn around and come back, right? False alarm. I live behind a fire station again. But yeah, think of a small goal, something you'd like to accomplish in that, right? And then think of some of those words that we've worked on, right? Because we're working with respect and honor. So we know, right, when we make a choice, right, we're going to work towards that vision. We're going to talk a little bit, I guess, about reverse engineering, I guess, because it ties in with vision this week. So reverse engineering for sure will be a part of that conversation. Also, getting the action tied into the vision, because we know as highly sensitives and as empaths and how we don't like to struggle, how we don't like to be in that pain. We've been in it for so long. We've dealt with so much in our lives. We finally are done with that, right? But we also understand that our evolution, that our well-being, like totally well-being, our movement forward is dependent on us in taking that action, in having that uncomfortableness. So if you could bear a little bit, and in doing baby steps, right, sometimes we don't have to bear very much at all, right, except the fact that we have to be a little bit more patient, right? If you're going to take your time on something, you have to be able to build your patience. But maybe that's a word for, I know patience is somewheres on this list here somewheres, but you don't know. And we'll hopefully get to that word, right? We won't get to all of them because I've got over 60 words and I'm only picking 54 of the words for my cards. But it's interesting how these words are going to come up in the right each week, because I love it that we got vision right now, because it starts with a vision. It starts with a thought. What do you need to accomplish for yourself? What would you like to accomplish for yourself? I dreamed big right off the, well, in the beginning I didn't know what I wanted. I was trying absolutely everything, throwing spaghetti on the wall, seeing what sticks, run with it. And then, right, as soon as it didn't have that calling to me, it would just fall away, right? Right? And you're really good at this, moving towards vision, because you remember when you came up here. So again, thank you, Alice, my sister Alice, for that advice of making sure that I read the comments. But Sharon was saying, I envisioned fitness and a healthier life for myself. And Sharon came up here and visited me in Winnipeg, Manitoba, a few years ago, and she envisioned it, and she did that reverse engineering. She got her passport. She had dental work done. She had physiotherapy done because she knew I like to go for those walks. And when she got here, she walked more than I walked, and that is the truth. And she enjoyed it just as much, if not more, than I did. So I think and I trust that's a great one for you, Sharon, because you've done that one before, right? And it's in the consistency. So it's perfect that you pick up that patterning in your health and your fitness again. And isn't it great, especially because you got to keep up with your son sometimes, and being the active person, being the social butterfly that you are, Sharon, right? You do need that good health. I think that's a fantastic one. This year for myself, again, I'm doing that deck of cards. My word cards. I don't know what the deck. I have a few ideas of what I want to call my deck, but for now, we're just going to be working within the words. The 50. It's a whole year. We got time for that. I've got my trip coming up, my road trip that I do every year, which is my reward to myself. I do believe that we need to consistently congratulate, reward, and pat ourselves on the back often, often, often as empaths and as highly sensitives, not in a coddle kind of way, not in a way that is on authentic, right? Because you could say, "Oh, you worked so hard, you didn't work at all," right? But it's not to give yourself heck, but to at least realize that you didn't work hard enough. But you need to give yourself your rewards because, again, being highly sensitive, so we will quit. We do want that couch and remote control, and those little rewards keep us going. It's keeping what we're doing fun and interesting, and rewards are exactly that, rewards for the work that we put into the job that we're doing. So I believe not just the bag at the end of the stick, which is my big reward every year, my trip that I do every September, but also those little rewards. And those are my staff charges at work, right? Those are my evening walks. Those are going off with my sister to go thrifting, right? Believe it or not, those are going in and listening to great thought leadership and just delving. I love it, you guys. I love mindset. I understand the journey has been made very clear to me. I am a realist. I understand that, right? But I am also understand that I'm working in things that are not in the regular flow of everybody's daily life. But I think if I do this properly, that I think my audience, right, the people that would be served best by the content that I can bring to the table, right, that I might be able to attract them, right? I talked to my sister today about maybe putting some of our thrifting excursions on the channel, right? And putting a link to her eBay so that, well, it's entrepreneurship. I'm hanging with the entrepreneurs, but I'm hanging with the entrepreneurs because a lot of entrepreneurs are highly sensitives and they are empaths, and the reason for that is because they need to be their own bosses, because empaths and highly sensitive are just too sensitive to be working for other people, to be dictated to by others. We need to be inspired by the people we work for, don't we? We have to admire the vision, we have to admire the people with the vision in order to work for other people. Otherwise, we need to work for ourselves. People ask me all the time, if I want to. I get emails all the time. Oh, do you want to work with us as a sponsor, or do you want to partner with that? Right? I want to work for, there's only two people I want to work for, right? And one of those people is myself. And I'm not sure even at 62, I'll be 62 next month. Wow, 2 months away. I'm not going to put, let's say 61 for now. I'm 61 years old and I really have to contemplate and right? Because that's a lot of work. It can be tied in because it ties in well for my visions, right? And I do believe that we need to see the evidence that it works. So, you know, if I want to work with empathic and highly sensitive entrepreneurs, then it would make sense that I should be going in that direction myself. But again, right, we all have ideas, we all have visions, and it's funny. Oh, that was a good word to get today. We all have visions, but it's just a matter of, right, putting that action into the visions because nothing is realized unless we move towards that. And that is a 100% truth. I think I'm going to leave it at that. It has been a long day. I'm doing this what's my good cheer when I'm called to do it in the moment, right? I had lots of opportunities today to come live this morning, this afternoon, this evening, but I did 3 loads of laundry. I went out with my sister, and I chose to make it a day of, um, well, connecting, right? In making that movement, and of course, with this trip coming up, my kind sister, right, helping me out with that, and and we're going to manifest something absolutely amazing, an amazing trip, right? That I would actually love to take my sister with me, but I would end up entertaining her the whole time, and right. And as much as this trip is for myself to enjoy, it's also content for you guys too. So I wanna make sure that, right, I am focused on the entire experience, and that means the entire vision, because that's right. A vision, you could say that's the end goal, but there's so much that entails to get there. And not only does it entail to get there, but there are lots of things that need to be attached to that vision, right? I'm envisioning this trip, but in reverse engineering, I need a vehicle, I need groceries, I need campsites, I need gas, right? I need uh, park passes. I need I need money for digging my amethyst, right? Because even though it's free to go in and dig amethyst, right? They measure by your pail how much you've got, and you'll get a fee for that too. It's not very much. It's just going to be the experience. But that's the vision. So I can see already we're going to be talking about reverse engineering this week, but that's fun, and that's something I do have a little bit of experience with, because these trips that I've taken, I've reversed engineered them. Some of these workshops, not even working, not even having a job, not even having a income, barely able to pay my rent, and being able to manifest some of these workshops and some of these networking events that I went to. So yeah, this is a good one. Vision. I like this. Okay, you guys, I'll be back tomorrow. Tomorrow maybe we'll do an afternoon one. No promises, right? When I'm entailed to come in, I show up here fresh like a loaf of bread every single day. But when that is going to be during the course of the day, we're not going to tie it down right now. My accountability in my baby steps is to show up every single day. And that's exactly what I'm doing. Everybody, have a great night, and we'll see each other tomorrow. Thank you so much, everybody. Oh, did you really? Oh my goodness, Sharon. Slip discs. Yoga. Oh my goodness. Next time we get together, you can teach me some yoga. That would be some nice. I've never tried yoga before. Maybe we did a little bit in exercise in school in our phys ed classes. Maybe. Seems to me we may have touched on the subject, but as an adult, no, I've never done yoga. My dad was a big meditator and I'm not a meditator. Are you a meditator, Sharon? He's come across as somebody who would be a very, very good meditator. I'm not a meditator myself. I've tried. My dad meditated twice a day all his life. But yeah, my forms of meditating, I like my evening walks. I like my bike rides. And I like those moments that I can find in the course of my day where I can have everything turned off and I can just be with myself, whether I'm washing dishes or washing the floor, right? I like contemplation too. Okay, you guys, I'm jibber jabbering. Have a great night, and we'll see each other tomorrow. Oh my goodness. I don't mind. My brain's going all the time. It's going all the time. It doesn't bother me at all. I find it quite entertaining. Quite entertaining, right? Okay, you guys, have a great night. Bye bye.